Hey, and welcome into the Big Ten Huddle. We appreciate you being here as we presented and brought to you by FanDuel. We're going to be talking Big Ten, Week 10, Big Week 10, whatever you want to call it at this point. We had 6 games this weekend. Not as much content as normal with more teams on bye, but still a lot to talk about. USC overcomes Nebraska. Ohio State blows out Penn State after a scary second quarter there. And then Indiana blows out Maryland with like 8 different starters injured, which was incredibly impressive. We'll get into it all, but first let's welcome in our dancing man, Zack Guggenheim.
That tune just in the beginning, I just want to get a little shoulder shake, a little shimmy, give the people what they want. That's exactly what they want.
You know what the people want, and we haven't given it to them lately?
What's that?
We want the Paul Feinbaum tracker.
Oh!
The Paul Feinbaum tracker is back. I had time to work on it today. I apologize. I've not been great with it. If you're listening on podcast, do remember that Paul Feinbaum said he would leave the country if an SEC team does not win the national championship this year. And Paul, it's not looking good for you, sir. Ohio State with the best odds on FanDuel at plus 220. Indiana right behind at plus 480. And then nearly a 400 drop-off, Zach, to plus 800 Alabama, plus 1,000 Texas A&M. And Oregon is actually tied 4th with Texas A&M at plus 1,000. Zach, does the SEC have any chance to win the national championship this year?
Yes. I think as much as we like to dog the SEC, I think you can never count out.
You're not about to stick up for the SEC here, are you?
No, I'm not going to stick up for them.
I would. Okay, that would happen real fast.
Listen. Okay, first of all, people in the chat are giving me all sorts of agita because I seem more awake tonight. Just realize it was fall back and I got an extra hour of sleep. So I'm ready to go, guys. I'm ready to go. Plus I skipped out on power rankings last night. I'm sorry, JR.
It's okay. We had a good time. Go ahead.
Okay. No, I'm not sticking up for them. You're asking, can any of them win the national championship? I think you have to leave room for the fact that they do have talent. Alabama, Georgia, Texas A&M. They have legitimate dudes that if they continue to progress and get better, certainly they can win the national championship. But if you ask me right now, do they have a shot in their current forms? No, because there are 2 teams named Ohio State and Indiana that would blow them all away.
Are you ready for my hot take?
Go for it.
It's actually not that hot of a take. The only team in the country that can beat Ohio State is Indiana, and the only team in the country that can beat Indiana is Ohio State. Therefore, the national champion will either be Ohio State or Indiana, barring some kind of unforeseen. Jeremiah Smith gets injured. Fernando Mendoza gets injured. I mean, if Fernando Mendoza, we'll talk about that later on. But barring some kind of unforeseen crazy injury thing happening, I don't see anybody but those 2 teams winning the national championship.
So my only pushback to that is teams do change and evolve, which is why
that's fair. I would say right now I don't see any
right
other
now.
team.
And that's what I'm saying is right now nobody's beating Ohio State and Indiana.
Yeah.
Except each other, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But you have to make room. Texas all of a sudden looks better. I'm not saying they're national championship better.
Yes.
But there's progress.
But you know what that Indiana defensive line would do to Texas's offensive line. They would put them in a sack for lunch, take it, and feed it to the rest of the team, and they would all just, not just the defensive line. They'd be handing out cupcakes to every single person. That Texas offensive line is terrible.
Yeah.
And so with Ohio State. I mean, Ohio State did it to them as well. So it's not. But
yeah.
All right, let's see who we got in the chat. Go ahead.
So James Wilson, our resident Duck fan, is saying only Ohio State or Indiana. I would argue the same applies for Oregon as it does to those SEC teams. That right now, Oregon is not on the same tier right now, but they too have the talent to ascend.
Yes, I want to see Oregon get some bigger wins. Penn State was a big win. Nobody can take that away from Oregon.
Right.
That was a big win going on the road to Penn State. I think you need to beat USC, Iowa, Washington here to end the season. I'm not trying to discredit what Oregon has done. I'm just saying, as of right now, I've not seen them against a playoff caliber, national championship caliber team go out and win. And that's kind of where I stand. But if they beat Iowa, I'll be right there with them because I think Iowa's a playoff caliber type of team. I don't think they'll get to the playoffs because the schedule's too difficult, but I think they're a playoff caliber type of team.
Yeah, that Iowa game, that Oregon Iowa game is going to be a banger.
Yeah, it is.
Sorry to cut you off, but we yeah.
No, I totally agree. All right, we had a really long intro, so we'll go through the chat and who's here a little bit more. Philip, appreciate you being here. Does the chairman of the Retirement Tour podcast know if Loxley has been fired other than by himself? There was a tweet that went out, Zach, that everybody believed. Careful, everybody on Twitter right now. The troll fake ESPN accounts are in full force.
Yeah, not everything on the internet is true. Quoted by Abraham Lincoln.
Yes.
Yeah.
He definitely said that.
Yeah.
Zeb says, "Oh, he's not tired anymore." No, Zach is not tired tonight. I am feeling under the weather though, so it might actually be Zach that is carrying the show tonight. Is that a scary proposition?
This could be a problem. It'd be a real sorry in advance.
Zach says Zach stance, or Kyle says Zach stance moves are as excited as Iowa's offense. Hey, the run game's pretty exciting.
I was to say, is it as exciting as Mark Gronowski running the ball Iowa offense, or is it as exciting as like Petrus and what was that guy's name that we all wanted to just
Petrus,
Cade McNamara? Is that what we're talking about? Because if it's as exciting as that, I will never dance again on this show.
Mm-hmm. Fair. All right, let's get into this. We got a lot, and there are so many people in the chat. Unfortunately, we cannot say hello to all of you, but we appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. It does mean a lot to us, and we will go ahead and get into the game breakdowns, as our first one is Ohio State and Penn State. Ohio State takes care of Penn State. Little dicey there in the second quarter, Zach.
Was it really dicey?
I mean, they were within 3 points. Ohio State let them go on a drive, and C.J. Donaldson fumbled it. Yes, we have to give credit to Penn State here.
I'll give credit to. I'm just okay. Keep going.
It was within 3 points. I wouldn't say that I thought that Penn State was going to win the game, but it got dicey.
Did you feel nervous when it was 17-14?
I felt nervous it would be a close game.
Okay, that's fair.
I felt nervous that it was like Indiana was going to go throttle Maryland. Sorry, Maryland fans, but that did happen. And that Ohio State was going to, kind of crap the bed and it'd be like, okay, Indiana, they're it.
I have a hot take when you're done. Well, when we get to our takeaways, but sure.
Okay. Well, anyway, Julian Sayin looked like an incredible quarterback. Obviously, one of the best quarterbacks in the nation, if not the best in this game. 20 of 23, 316 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 87% completion percentage. Bo Jackson got over 100 yards rushing in this game as Ohio State ran for 164 overall. And the two wide receivers for Ohio State, Jeremiah Smith, 123 yards, 2 touchdowns. Carnell Tate, 124 yards, 1 touchdown. And Zach, did you hear what Terry Smith said about Ohio State's receivers after the game?
Best he's ever seen.
Yeah, and Terry Smith's been there for like over 10 years. So he's seen all of Brian Hartline's receivers. I think he's seen back to Michael Thomas. For him to say these are the best wide receivers Ohio State has ever, he would know, right? He's the one that's coaching against them. He's the DB coach. That's pretty, I thought it was pretty crazy that he said that. Not to say I disagree with it, but it's just like, holy cow, are they really the best too?
Carnell Tate is what he's become. He is wide receiver 1 in next year's draft. I don't think
he should be.
I don't think it's a.
Mekhi Lemon is out there too. There's going to be people that like him a lot, and for good reason. Mekhi Lemon is a very good wide receiver. It depends on what people want, right?
Yeah,
he'll be top 3 at the very least.
Yeah. He's going to be a first round pick, maybe a top half of the first round pick, the way he's playing right now.
Yeah. So Zach, what was the thing that impressed you the most about Ohio State in this one?
So this is going to go into my probably not hot take, but like medium warm, like warming tray take. First of all, Ohio State's ability to come back from a mistake is insane, right? Because I'll give you the dicey point on this. It was 17-14 and all the momentum was with Penn State, right? And you're like, what are you doing, Ohio State? Well, here's what they did. Touchdown, touchdown, touchdown in emphatic fashion. And they allowed one offensive yard up until the middle of the fourth quarter. One. That's insanity. And this is my lukewarm take. Again, Ohio State was never threatened. That 17-14, all that was Ohio State playing with their food, which Philip said in the chat. And this game really should have been 45-7. Like, Ohio State decimated this team. And quite honestly, they didn't, defensively in particular, they were a little sleepwalk-ish defensively. And then as soon as they came out in the second half, you really saw the difference between these two teams, which is scary because, as you know, Penn State's 3-5. They've got NFL talent. They've got a lot of NFL talent. They haven't played up to it, but it's not like these guys weren't playing hard. I mean, they stripped the ball out from CJ Donaldson, for crying out loud. You don't do that if you're not trying, right? Nick Singleton looked the best he's run this year. You don't look like that if you're not trying. And Ohio State just crushed them. And granted, I know no Drew Aller, no James Franklin, but all their losses, one was in double overtime. The rest were either by 1 point or by 5 points. This was never close. And I am very intrigued to see what Indiana does against Penn State next week in Happy Valley to get a good comparison. But again, I'm not going to go on this is the best 3-5 team in the country like everybody did with South Carolina. But I just think you have to recognize that Penn State has talent that a lot of other teams don't. And they just thrashed them. And what encouraged me the most was how they respond to a shift in momentum is they just take it right back from you.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. You lose the momentum. We're going to talk about a team next here who kind of lost the momentum at the beginning of the game too and responded. It's what championship teams do, right? Non-championship teams kind of let the momentum settle and then they kind of fight back, but they never really take it back. I mean, i.e. Alabama against South Carolina, Alabama versus Florida State. Like, those are teams that never really got the momentum back to be able to win the game. They focused on mistakes of the other team, and that's what Ohio State didn't have to do. Ohio State said, okay, you have some momentum. We're going to come out in the second half. We're going to basically bomb the ball over your safeties and your cornerbacks every single time. And, for as much talking as there was going into the game of like, oh, well, Jim Knowles knows Ohio State and he's going to make sure they don't do this, they don't do that. And that wasn't a huge sentiment, but it was talked about a little bit by some people, which I understood. I'm not saying it was a bad take, but overall, like, Ohio State knows Jim Knowles too. And this felt like a game where Ohio State said, okay, you're going to play this kind of coverage. Our players are just better. You're going to play this kind of ball. Our players are just better. Did you hear what Jeremiah Smith said about the secondary of Penn State?
No, I didn't. What did he say?
So he was talking about how the cornerbacks were talking in front of him and him on the field, and they were talking about what coverage they were going to run. And so actually on that deep coverage, when it was quarters, he just ran the route that he knew would be quarters. They were talking. They said, "Oh yeah, we're running quarters here." Okay. And JJ just said, "Okay, I'll just run in between you two and run straight up the field like you would do to beat quarters." And there were three guys all around Jeremiah Smith. I mean, I personally do not see any team other than Indiana beating Ohio State right now if you're going to get this type of play from Julian Sayin, this type of play from Carnell Tate, Jeremiah Smith, because right now it is unbeatable. Right now you are witnessing the offense of Ohio State in 2021 that everybody was like, well, would CJ Stroud ever win a national championship? Well, you're about to find out. this year
Yeah.
because he has a defense, and this offense is just as good, if not better, than 2021. The numbers just aren't the same because Ryan Day, they going into this game, Zach, they played the least amount of snaps on offense of any team in all of FBS.
Well, do you know how many snaps that they played in this game offensively?
I do not know how many they played.
I believe it was only 55.
Well, they're probably still the lowest then because they were 437.
Yeah,
I'll have to check and see if they're still the lowest, but
I mean that's let me just look again here. Yeah, 23 pass attempts, and then let's see, 13, 17, 24, 28. Sorry, I think it's 55 with 2 kneel downs, which if you do the math, I mean, 55 plays, they hit 480 yards. That's 8.7 yards per play. So and that's with 2 kneel downs.
Yeah. Ohio State is in the bottom 10. They are not the smallest amount of plays played anymore. They have ran 492 plays on offense. The teams you have below them are Northern Illinois, Nevada, North Carolina, Wisconsin, Ball State, Kent State. Who are the other ones? Navy. No. Navy had more than them. Miami of Ohio was tied with them. So they're 7th, 8th, somewhere in that range. Yeah. Fewest.
Penn State had 60 plays. They had 200 yards, 3.3 yards per play, 55 rushing yards. That's crazy. That's the lowest that any team has held them to. That's
crazy.
Better than Iowa, better than Oregon.
Yeah. I mean, as much as this defense gets talked about, Matt Patricia and everything else, and don't get me wrong, the defense is crazy. This offense right now is just on a different level.
Yeah. So. The best play of the game, and Ryan Day alluded to it, the third down where Julian Saint evades pressure from denied Dennis Sutton and another defender, gets the first down. Next play is I think it was the exact next play was the touchdown to Carnell Tate. But that's something that CJ did not do. That Julian Saint
he did at least against Georgia.
Yeah, later in his career he did it, but like not his freshman year.
Yeah, but not in 2021. Yeah.
Yeah, and he evaded pressure, and it was very well executed. When he's locked in and he's been locked in like this every game, I don't know how you beat them.
Yeah, me either.
And I hate saying that as a fan. I'm like I like to like slow play it and be like, maybe not. I don't know how you beat them, which means they'll probably lose next week. Not next week. They'll probably lose to Michigan, but I honestly don't know how you beat them when they play like this.
Yeah. Rafay asks, do you think Penn State is going bowling? 3-6 right now.
Well, they're 3-5, but they play Indiana next week.
They play Indiana, then they have like Michigan State. I'll double check the schedule really fast.
They play Michigan State, Nebraska with a backup quarterback, and at Rutgers. So
yeah, they're losing against Indiana. We know that.
Yeah, but I
think that's much of a question.
But
they are at home, so we'll give them a little bit of question there. But
the thing that is good, it stinks for Nebraska, but Nebraska has to go to Happy Valley. At Michigan State and at Rutgers, I would think.
But they have to win all those games.
Yeah. But I would think that Penn State has to be better. But the question is, do they quit? And I think that's the big question. Does this roster quit on them now that they've lost to Ohio
I don't think
State?
they quit. I think that they are playing, some of them are playing for their draft stock and stuff like that. So I don't think they're going to quit, but yeah, it's definitely. I never would have thought that it's questionable if Penn State's going to make a bowl game with at Michigan State, Nebraska, and at Rutgers to end the season. But I'm not confident they win all three of those. So
yeah, I wouldn't bet on it, but if you take it game by game, they should win those games. But there's a lot of variables there.
Yeah. Anything else on Penn State before we move on?
No. I like Grunkemeyer, his future. Like, I don't think he's a bad signal caller. Like, he missed some intermediate throws, but I thought he played poised for the most part. It's just he ran into a buzzsaw.
Yeah, it's just hard when Ohio State is basically getting pressure on you every single snap.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if they're
Arvell
not, if Penn
Reese.
State wasn't, if Penn State wasn't tossed pitching it to the side, Ohio State was pretty much destroying them.
Yeah.
So, all right, good deal. We will move on to Indiana at Maryland. Indiana wins 55-10, and holy cow, Zach, this Indiana team looks unstoppable at this point in a game. Even when Indiana does not have Elijah Surratt, they do not have Drew Evans, their left guard. Aiden Fisher is out. I mean, I think there were 8 total starters that were out in this game. I'm only highlighting some of the big guys, big ones. I mean, Elijah Surratt played the first drive, but then he was out after that, and Indiana just says, screw it. Who cares? We're going to run the ball over you. We're going to run for 367 yards. You're going to run for 37 yards. Fernando Mendoza is going to throw a pick at the beginning of the game, and he's not going to throw the ball that much, only 14 to 21. But you know what is going to happen? Kalen Black is going to get 14 carries for over 100 yards. Roman Hemby is going to get 18 carries for 88 yards and a touchdown. And Kobe Martin, yeah, he's really good too. He's going to get 11 carries for 80 yards and a touchdown. And Omar Cooper, he's going to get 86 yards receiving and a touchdown. And Fernando Mendoza is going to rush for a touchdown too. Yeah. Did you see that, by the way, how he was like patting Pat Coogan on the back as he was scoring the touchdown?
Yeah, it was pretty amazing. Well, then his younger brother, it's Angelo, right? Angelo Mendoza?
Alberto.
Yeah,
Angelo is Jeremiah Smith's younger brother.
Okay. Alberto had that big run down the sideline, and you're like, he's gone. He's not gone, but it looked like he could have went the distance.
Yeah. Yeah, Alberto Mendoza, 53 yards down the sideline there. It's just insane because everybody wants to talk about, oh yeah, Indiana runs up the score, and half the people don't even realize that, Fernando Mendoza has a younger brother, Alberto Mendoza.
Well, I mean, they are running up the score.
They are running it up, but they're not.
Keyword running.
They're just running it. Nobody can stop them at the end of the game.
Right.
So,
right. Oh, they're trying to run out the clock. Oh, they can't. Why? Because the holes are too big for the running backs to run through. That's why.
I mean, I was really impressed by the defense in this one for Indiana. You get a field goal there at the very beginning after Maryland gets the interception, which, by the way, great interception by Glasgow. I don't know if that was Elijah Surratt getting hurt or what happened there that made that happen. Probably should have done a little bit more research to figure out what happened exactly on that play. But he made a good interception, figured it out where Fernando Mendoza was going with the ball. But then the Indiana defense, 4 plays, 6 yards in that drive, so they don't do anything. They get a field goal, 3 and out the next one, 5 plays, 42 yards in the next one. They get an interception on the next one, punt, and then they only punted once in the second half, Maryland did, but they also got a turnover on downs and 3 fumble recoveries, which was insane.
That's insane.
Oh, and the most impressive part, this is not exactly what gave me the most confidence, but it's just a fun stat because it reminded me of Reggie Miller's 9 points and 8 seconds. Indiana scored 21 points in less than 2 minutes of game time there with the touchdown and the 2 fumble recoveries. Like the idea that this team can just pounce on you like that out of nowhere. I shouldn't say out of nowhere, obviously, but Maryland did just score before that. So you're like, oh, okay, Maryland, maybe has a little bit that they're doing with it here. And, maybe they're going to come out with a little bit of offense. No, shut that down right away because Indiana scores 2 fumble recoveries later. It's 21-0.
Yep.
Or 21-0 flip.
Yeah, it was. Well, I was watching the game with some friends. I remember thinking like they've scored, I think it was when they had 4 turnovers. They scored 24 points off those turnovers. I mean, so they get turnovers and then they put you out of your misery. And I'll tell you what, you talked about the running game. Let's just talk about the lines of scrimmage in general. They ran for 367 yards. They held Maryland to 37 yards rushing. Again, those are insane numbers. And, we have someone in the chat, Mark guaranteeing a win over Ohio State for Indiana. if their offensive and defensive lines can be that dominant, then yeah, Indiana will beat Ohio State, because that is going to be incredibly difficult to overcome if they can play that well come Big Ten championship game, which, by the way, they're going to be in the Big Ten championship game. Like, they're not going to lose a game in the regular season. They go to Penn State. That's where they might face the most resistance, and I don't think it's going to be a ton. By the way, I'm done picking close games against Indiana the rest of the regular season.
I was wondering when you were going to learn your lesson.
I'm done. they're going to beat Penn State by 50 next week. They're going to beat Wisconsin by 60. They're going to beat Purdue by like infinity. Like it's just, forget it. I'm not doing that again. You can't compete against that type of run game and that type of defense. You just can't.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, right now, this Indiana team is playing on a different level. They're being coached on a different level. Right now, there are no two stronger teams in the country than Ohio State and Indiana. And what we see in the Big Ten championship game, which, by the way, the odds for that game are so lopsided. Ohio State has minus 150 odds to win the Big Ten championship game on FanDuel. Indiana has plus 135. The next closest, do you know who it is?
Is it Alabama?
No. To win the Big Ten championship.
Oh, to win Big Ten. Sorry. Yeah, Alabama. Is it Alabama? Gosh, I'm. I mean, I would imagine it's Oregon, but it's probably way down.
No, Michigan plus 2,500.
Really?
Yeah, because if Michigan beats Ohio State, they'll have the head-to-head over them.
Oh, yeah, and they would go to the Big Ten.
I mean, as long as they win all their other games. We'll talk about Michigan here a little bit later on, but yeah. Max says Oregon plus 6,000. No, Oregon is at plus 2,700. So they're just 200 away from Michigan. But yeah, I mean,
Oregon needs some help to get in.
Really, the only interesting part of the Big Ten right now is, will they get a fourth playoff team? Because you're most likely going to get Oregon unless they just really screw up at the end of the schedule here. I don't think that'll happen, but unless they just screw up and lose 2 games here at the end of the schedule, could happen, but I don't think it will happen. And then I don't think Michigan, I think Michigan kind of finds themselves in the same boat as Notre Dame, where they could sneak into the playoffs, but they need to start destroying some teams. And with the injuries that they have right now, I don't think it's going to happen. Anyway, we'll talk about Michigan a little bit later on. But overall, Indiana, a wagon. Talked about them as a wagon before. They're still a wagon. They're going to be a wagon all season. Any thoughts on Maryland after this one, Zach?
This is the first time this season where I am feeling very retirement committee ish. That I don't know where I was going with that sentence.
You are pro-retirement.
I am starting to lean that it might be good for Loxley to find a different job. I understand.
I think he just needs to win one more game.
I do too, but that's going to be tough to recover from. They got just flat out embarrassed. And my concern for Maryland is, does this short circuit the momentum they had with Malik Washington as a young freshman signal caller? Because, I mean, most of the turnovers were his fault, if not all of them. And
yeah, I mean, that's just a freshman quarterback trying to make plays, though. You get that with a freshman, right?
Yes, but what is the effect for the rest of the year, mentally?
I mean, they could beat Rutgers. Rutgers' offense did not look good against Illinois. I think that's more of Illinois looking good. We'll talk about them here later on. Then they get at Illinois. At Rutgers, sorry. At Illinois, Michigan State.
Yeah. So
they could possibly beat Michigan if Michigan has all the injuries and stuff going on. But I wouldn't pick it. I suppose if Illinois' defense decides to, not do anything again, they could beat them. And then they could beat at Rutgers and Michigan State. I have Maryland above both of them in my power rankings, so I think they'll get one of those two.
Yeah, I think they get a 5th win. This was the game where I'm like, oh, come on, Loxley. You got to show more life than that. But But I think part of it is Indiana. This is what Indiana does and what their system does to teams that are lesser, and that's precisely what they were. But
yeah, had question. Well, we'll move on. Yeah, I think Loxley will be fine. He'll be back next season. Hopefully, they just pay their players to stick around. Because did you see that story about Roman Hemby?
No.
Maryland chose not to pay Roman Hemby or any other like returning players. So all their returning players left because they were like, "Yeah, we're going to pay the freshmen." And they're like, "Okay, well then we'll leave.
Peace out."
So Roman Hemby, who's been a good player for them the entire time, and Kirk Cinetti has said he's like one of the best culture guys on the team. They were just like, "Yeah, we're not going to pay you. We'll pay the freshmen."
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't get Loxley's decision making. It's strange.
Yeah.
All right. Next one. USC at Nebraska. USC wins this one 21-17. And very, very interesting game here, Zach. So USC gets down early and they have some issues, obviously. Nebraska scores. Emmett Johnson has a huge game. Emmett Johnson kind of looked like Jeremiah Love out there for a little bit. Not fully, but for a little bit he did. And Jaden Maiava has his worst game possibly of his career. I don't remember UNLV all that much, but in this spot on the road, what you needed from him. 9 of 23, 135 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception. He did run for 62 yards and had a touchdown run, so give him credit for that. But overall, passing the ball, I don't think I've ever seen Jaden Maiava look this bad. I mean, he was just playing flat out missing receivers. I do think that they were throwing deep on Nebraska a lot just to try and get pass interferences there toward the end of the game because Nebraska was, getting a lot of pass interference penalties, it felt like. But overall, like, the big story of this one is Dylan Raiola hurt out for the rest of the season.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk USC first, kind of give them their flowers, what we were confident in from what we saw from them, and then we'll get to Nebraska and Dylan Raiola.
Yeah, I think so. This is going to sound like backhanded compliment, but it's not my intention. USC found a way to win with defense and grit against a top 25 caliber team. And I know it was without Raiola. And I know Nebraska's they weren't actually ranked. They should have been. But we don't have a crap on the AP poll today, which is unfortunate. But
no, we are crapping on the AP poll.
Oh, okay, good.
We're gonna crap on the AP poll, and then we're gonna predict the college football playoff top 25 in the second.
Okay, yes.
Go ahead.
But here's the thing. What have we criticized Lincoln Riley for years? He's a pretty boy.
Not winning the close ones, not winning on the road.
Yeah, he's a pretty boy. Loves the flashy offense, but as soon as they find some resistance, they wilt. Right? They lose the close games, like you said. They can't deal with strong defense. Well, Nebraska came out inspired in this game, played some pretty good defense. Maiava played a pretty bad game. Like, let's just call it what it was. It was a bad game by Maiava. And they found a way to win. And listen, I get that Raiola wasn't in, but they were able to pull this one out on the road in a raucous environment with another team that had playoff hopes. Like, to me, that is a sign of maturity and progress from Lincoln Riley and the USC Trojans. And I think, to me, that screams like they're maybe ready to take the next step. So I am actually thrilled by obviously not by what happened in Nebraska, but I'm thrilled for USC because I think they needed a game like this to say, hey, we can gut these out. We can win gritty and ugly. Everybody knows we can win pretty, but they can now win ugly. And I think that's a big deal.
Yeah, everybody knows we can win at home. Everybody knows we can win when Jaden Maiava is throwing for 300-plus yards. Everybody knows we can win when we have Eli Sanders and Wayman Jordan and they're running the ball around there. Does everybody know we can win on the road when we have a walk-on running back, when Jaden Maiava has, a really bad day throwing the ball? Some people are bringing up other games where he had a worse day, so I won't say it's the worst day he's ever had. Just because I don't know that for sure, but it seemed like it in the moment when he was playing. So, I mean, if you were going to tell me going into that game that USC would have to lean on King Miller to basically get the majority of yards for them in this game, they were going to have to lean on their defense, and Jaden Maab was going to have one of his worst days throwing the ball, I would have said, you're nuts. There's no way they win this one. And it's not like King Miller was out there and he had like 250-plus yard runs, and outside of that, that was it. He didn't have a single run of 20 yards or more. He just was consistently moving the ball down the field, 7.2 yards per carry, and that's like my biggest pushback, to people saying, and I don't necessarily disagree with them, I'm just saying I don't think it's that simple, but people saying that like, oh, Nebraska would have won the game if Dylan Raiola was in there. Would they have? Probably, because they've had some fourth quarter comebacks, so I do think they probably would have, but we don't know that for sure. What USC did in the game was they ran the ball really well with King Miller. They scored 2 touchdowns, and they were able to draw some time off the clock on that last drive. They had 4.5 minutes of time go off the clock for 7 plays before they punted and nailed Nebraska down deep in their red zone. So, Nebraska got the ball with what, like a minute and a half left? Like, that is not USC football that I've known to see on the road in a, playoff contender type of matchup. So all the praise, all the credit to Lincoln Riley and everything. Did it help that Dylan Raiola was out? Yes, but still a lot of grit from this USC team. They were able to pull out the win. In the circumstances that they had. So,
absolutely.
Nebraska. I'm concerned.
Yeah.
TJ Lateef did not look good.
And it stinks that it's an injury, because like Raiola was having a really good year.
Yeah, I mean, like the offensive line wasn't doing him a whole lot of credit for most of the year, and then they looked better lately. So it is kind of crazy that when Nebraska's offensive line starts looking better, he's out for the season. Terry, he's out. He's out for the season. Dylan Raiola will not play the rest of the season.
Fibula.
Yeah,
broken fibula.
So Nebraska will be without Dylan Raiola the rest of the year. They'll be playing with TJ Lateef, who was 5 for 7 for 7 yards in this game. He did run 6 times for 18 yards, but I mean USC only had 1 sack in this game. It wasn't like, they were going crazy on Nebraska. It just so happened one of the times when they got to Raiola, they roll up on him and he's injured. Like, it sucks for Nebraska. I feel really bad for Nebraska fans after today.
Yeah, me too.
Or after yesterday.
Well, and what stinks is like with Raiola, you look at the schedule and you're like, they probably beat UCLA, they probably beat Penn State, and they have a good shot. They have a good shot with Iowa. I'm not sure they win a single game the rest of the way. Like at UCLA, maybe. At UCLA, maybe, but
I don't think they beat Iowa.
No, Iowa's got that one.
Yeah,
I hate to say it, but
I think that Penn State game is going to be interesting. But I mean, this is why you hired Dana Holgorsen, right? To scheme up stuff, have a really good offense, and Emmett Johnson is running the ball really well right now.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see what this offense looks like. I think that it was really unfortunate for Nebraska that it was at this time in the game and everything else when they got the injury, because I just don't think they were prepared to play without Dylan Raiola. They'll have a full week of practice, no Dylan Raiola, TJ Lateef taking starter reps. What do they do different to the offense? Because I do think Dana Holgorsen likes to have a running quarterback in his offense. Dylan Raiola is not really a running quarterback. He's pretty immobile at times. Does some good things in the pocket every now and then, but he doesn't have a very quick first step, and that's been part of the reason why he's been sacked a lot. But TJ Lateef is quick. You're going to see a lot of screen game. You're going to see a lot of speed from Lateef, though, I think. So, I mean, people were calling for Lateef earlier in the season for him to get some time. So, it's not like the reports out of camp and practice have been Lateef sucks.
Yeah, I mean, they've got UCLA and then they have a bye. So I mean that could be good to get Lateef up to speed. And we'll see what UCLA brings after getting just shellacked by Indiana. I mean, they had a lot of success up to that, after that upset at Penn State, but I'm not sure that they're. Yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. I feel bad for Nebraska though. I feel bad for
Yeah.
Rayola because I mean, again, he was playing really well.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. Hey, before we move on, do want to remind you to please do like and subscribe. Really helps out the show when you do that. If you're listening to this after the fact and you can hype up the show, that helps as well. Let people know about the Big Ten Huddle. We are trying to get to 5,000 subscribers by the end of the season. So we're about to hit 4,000 right now. We've had some really good support, and we appreciate that from you all lately. So if you would, please do like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Share it out there. Those of you, I think I saw Steely Matt shared the stream on Twitter earlier. So thank you so much for all of you that do that. Doreen shares the stream, a lot and does that. So if anybody would be so inclined to do that, we really appreciate that happening as the Big Ten Huddle is growing right now during the season, and we hope to be with you guys the entire off season as well, as we do not stop podcasting. We continue to go through it all, talking Big Ten football, and then also we have a basketball channel where we have some stuff over there, and we'll have some basketball on this channel as well. All right, moving on to Minnesota gets the win over Michigan State 23-20. Zach, this was a very interesting game. Minnesota gets out in front 10-0, and you thought, okay, this is kind of what we expected from Minnesota. Like, they get out in front in this one, and the defense was getting after Michigan State, who started Alessio Milovic. I believe that's how you pronounce it. Milivosic. I don't know if I'm saying it right. However it is. So going into halftime, it was 10-0. You were like, all right, Minnesota's got this one in the bag. And then Michigan State, man, they came alive in the second half. The offense started really humming, doing a whole lot better. They score 17 unanswered, and then Minnesota has to respond at the end of the game. Drake Lindsey scores to send it to overtime, and then in overtime he scores again to win the game for him. So 2 rushing touchdowns with -5 yards rushing for Drake Lindsey. How about that, Zach?
Oof. That was rough. So what happened with Aiden Childs? Because he was not.
I think he just
playing.
got benched.
He just got benched?
Yeah, that's what I saw.
Okay. Yeah, I was trying to figure, because he didn't play at all in this game, because I saw the second half, and I was like, that's not Aiden Childs. So that's yeah. Okay. Anyway.
Yeah. Doc P says 8 sacks in the first half, 6 sacks in the first half is what my thing says. David's saying 5. So yeah, 5 or 6 in the first half. My box score here says 6 in the first half. But yeah, a high sack total. There. They had 7 overall in the game. The box score says. All right. Sorry, Zach. Go ahead. Your thoughts on the game, and then what gave you confidence about Minnesota?
Yeah, I mean, so the thing that I was struck by, Michigan State, with not a ton of time left, goes down the field. Tao Tolliver gets that 85-yard run, and as soon as they get that run, you're like, they're going to score, and Minnesota's going to blow this, and this is like the PJ Fleck special. Like, that was legitimately what was running through my mind. And Drake Lindsey, who did not have a great game up to that point, leads him down the field. They score a touchdown, force it overtime, and then on a 3rd and goal in overtime, on a gotta have it, they call a gutsy freaking play with a naked bootleg, and Drake Lindsey stiff arms a guy to get in the end zone. Now, you might have thoughts about, was he actually in or not? Here's the thing. You couldn't see it. It's not indisputable. Refs did the right thing by not overturning that thing, because you couldn't tell. And that's how replay's supposed to work, by the way. So, I don't have a lot of good things to typically say about refs. That was good. I give them a lot of credit for that. Here's my takeaway. Drake Lindsey's a guy. He's a dude. He's got ice in his veins. And people will say, well, Michigan State's not good. I don't care, because he found a way to bring his team back from the brink. This is a game in the past that PJ Fleck has lost, and they did not lose this one because of Drake Lindsay.
Yeah, had to have it. Drake Lindsay made it happen, and they trusted Drake Lindsay to get the ball in the end zone. So I was impressed that in a game where Minnesota couldn't put it all together, right? You had 5, 6 sacks in the first half, 7 sacks overall in the game, which is good, but you let up big plays that kept them in the game. So it was really frustrating, obviously, for Minnesota fans in the second half, but as far as I'm concerned, when you have to have it, you have somebody in your team that can make it happen, and that's invaluable in college football and really in sports in general. So I don't know if this is going to be something that happens for Drake Lindsay throughout his entire career, but the fact that I have a dude on my team that's a redshirt freshman, as a redshirt freshman twice in that game, very last drive of the game, the last drive in overtime, he's able to get the score for my team, put the team on his back, and make it happen. I know Drake Lindsay is not like a flashy quarterback that, people are going to talk about and say like, oh, he does all these things, but he's a guy that gets it done. And even against a team like Michigan State that's not very good, he got it done, and that speaks a lot about him and PJ Fleck and his team.
Agreed.
So, he says offense coordinator. He calls him Hardball. I think he's Harbaugh. No, not Harbaugh.
Yeah, it's Greg Harbaugh, isn't it?
Oh, okay. I knew it's spelled like Harbaugh, but Fleck always pronounced it different. Needs to let Drake Lindsay loose and have him throw down the field some more. Yeah, I mean, that's been one of the hard parts about getting the running game going at times, right? Is that you're not really throwing the ball down the field all that much. But Drake Lindsay, he's kind of just does a really good job hitting his receivers, moving the ball down the field when you need to. And I've been impressed by these wide receivers from Minnesota at times this season. My guy Brockington has done a good job. Javon Tracy, he's like a finalist for the Biletnikoff. He's kind of one of the quieter guys to do that. He had 7 receptions for 61 yards in this game on 11 targets. So, I mean, I don't think any of these guys are like, all Big Ten worthy or anything like that, but they do enough to get the job done. That's kind of
good.
What you need out of this offense right now, especially with so many injuries and the running backs.
Yeah, they're solid.
And Fame, it's your boy. Like 17 carries, 108 yards, 1 touchdown in this game.
He's your boy. He's your boy. Sorry, I'm done.
He is.
I'll see myself out.
So, all right. Anything else on this one before we move on?
No, I'll just say this. I just happened to see the Seahawks Commander score. It's 31-7 at half. I don't think I realized that Purdue was in the NFL.
Good one.
Sorry, Purdue.
coming after Purdue hot. Jonathan Smith, his head coaching is in question if he's going to be back at Michigan State next year. I'm going to do a video on that will release tomorrow morning on my JR's Big Ten Football News and Rumors channel over there. So go follow that channel if you want to hear my thoughts on Michigan State, Jonathan Smith, all that stuff. So, all right, Zach, our next game, Rutgers at Illinois. Illinois pulls this one out. I say pull it out. They really beat down Rutgers in this one, 35-13. Illinois did not like the taste that was in their mouth after that Washington game. You could tell. And they come out in this one, win the game, win it convincingly, and it was a really good performance by Illinois. Their defense, Luke Altmaier, especially, he was exceptional. Hudson Clement had a good game in this one as well. Just a lot of really good things for Illinois in a season where they've lost some of their bigger games. They did beat Duke and USC, but they've lost to Washington, Indiana, and Ohio State, and they weren't really close in any of those ones. You could kind of talk about the Ohio State one. They won the success rate battle and stuff like that. So I do think that there's a little bit of talking points there. But overall, Illinois has not really on the scoreboard been close in these games, and I think that's hurting their opportunities right now to be ranked and still be able to make the college football playoffs. Zach, your thoughts on the game and what has you confident about Illinois the rest of the season after this one?
Well, first of all, I just want to point out, aside from one game this season, I have been right every single week with Illinois. Every single week, except for Washington.
You've gotten the money line right, or you've gotten the spread right?
The money line. Money line.
Money line.
Not that I'm betting, But
No, I know, but it's
no. This is
the way you talk about
important
it, yeah.
because the Illini fans are like, Zach is a curse to the Illini when he picks us. And I'm just here to tell you, the curse is broken. And Rutgers fans, I'm sorry, but my curse is no longer working.
Yeah. Sorry, Rutgers.
Yeah, I think the biggest take, I did not pick them to beat Indiana. I did not pick them to beat Indiana, Terry. I
picked them to beat Indiana.
I was very
That was
clear
me.
that Indiana was going to beat Illinois. I was on that preseason.
Yeah.
No,
I'll take the blame for that one, Terry.
I thought the defense for Illinois, to hold them only to 312 yards and 13 points, like Rutgers has not been great to this season, but they are explosive.
No, but they've had a good offense.
Yeah, like they have dudes. Sorry, Terry, I got a little defensive on that. Forgive me for that. But Illinois defensively, for the struggles they've had a little bit this season, obviously struggled a lot against Washington. I liked what I saw with Illinois' defense. And, you look at the rest of their schedule, Maryland at Wisconsin and Northwestern, like arguably 3 winnable games. Like I would say that they will be favored at least by a touchdown in all of those games. Only 1 road game left. And to have a defense that can aid you, especially against teams that are not the most offensively capable, that's a big encouragement, where I think it's very possible Illinois ends up being 9-3 and probably not making the playoff, but probably ending the season ranked. Hopefully, AP poll, do your jobs.
Well, they got 4 votes this week, so if they finish 9-3, they'll be ranked.
Ooh, 4 votes. Oh, sorry. Tennessee is 6-3 and they're ranked. It's stupid. Who is Tennessee?
We'll get to it. We'll get to it. Don't worry.
Oh my goodness.
Save it.
Oh. Anyway, the defense for me.
Yeah, I think the defense for me as well, that was a big thing. In order to try and be a little bit different from you, I'll go with Luke Altmaier and his legs. I think that Barry Lenny Jr. worked up a lot of stuff to try and get his legs to be used a whole lot more in this game. I think that he saw what has happened to Rutgers this season with some more mobile quarterbacks, and I thought that was a really good call from Barry Lenny Jr. to make that happen. The defensive line could not keep up with Luke Altmaier. He did get sacked still in this game. It's not like he was completely away from sacks or anything. Rutgers had 1 sack in this one. But overall, like even I think he got sacked. It was like 3rd and 15, and then he scrambles and gets the first down. So great stuff from Luke Altmaier. Makes him even more dangerous with his legs to be able to do all that he's doing. And with them now getting him involved in like the designed run game and everything, it's really special. Luke Altmaier is going to be in the NFL next season. He's kind of on that Tommy DeVito path a little bit. And unfortunately for Illinois fans, like I know this is a really positive thing about you, but Barry Lenny Jr. is going to be an offensive coordinator in the SEC at a bigger school, or some Big Ten team's going to go out there and get him because he's done a really good job with Luke Altmaier while he's been at Illinois, and somebody's going to come in and offer him more money. Hopefully Illinois matches and he stays. If he does that, I would be really happy, but that's kind of how it looks right now because Illinois can still win 10 games this season. Be first time in program history, I believe, that Illinois would win 10 games back-to-back seasons.
That'd be a big deal.
Yeah. So
definitely in line for a New Year's Day bowl.
Yeah, for sure. I pulled up the CBS bowl projections here. Let me look at it. So what do you say the rest of the schedule was for Illinois, Wisconsin?
It's Maryland at Wisconsin, Northwestern.
Okay. So if Illinois makes a bowl game, they have them playing Cincinnati in the Las Vegas Bowl.
Not a New Year's Bowl? I mean,
because if the Big Ten gets 4 teams in the playoffs, they would probably get a bigger bowl. I mean, the Las Vegas Bowl is a bigger bowl because all the New Year's Bowl or all the other bowls are in the playoffs now, right?
That's fair.
Remember the Sugar, the Rose, the Orange, they're all in the playoffs now. So your biggest bowl right now is like the Duke's Mayo Bowl. The Holiday Bowl.
like the Capital One Bowl, the Outback Bowl, the like.
I mean, I think the Las Vegas Bowl is still a good
Gator
bowl.
Bowl.
Yeah. I'm more concerned about the opponent. Illinois plays Cincinnati. Do they win?
Oh, yes. Cincinnati's
sure?
not legit.
I mean, Brendan Sorsby.
What'd they do against
off-brand
Nebraska?
Damon Williams.
What'd they do against Nebraska?
They were with Nebraska in that game. 17-20.
Yeah.
It's not like Nebraska blew them out.
Indiana beat, or I think Illinois beat. Although
Indiana beats them for sure. Yes.
Yeah.
Indiana wins 50-0 in that game.
Yeah, Illinois wins that game.
I think they win it too, as long as all the guys are still playing and they don't lose Barry Lundy Jr., which they might. I think they win that game.
Mm-hmm.
They have Nebraska playing Oklahoma in the ReliaQuest Bowl.
Oy. Without Raiola.
Yeah, I mean, Oklahoma is a strong defense, but their defense could hold Oklahoma's offense.
Yeah.
So, all right. So 10 wins for Illinois. Very much so a possibility.
We can see it happening. On the table.
Yeah. All right. Last one here, Zach, and then we'll get to the AP poll and everything here at the end. Well, no, I'll mention that in the next one. Michigan wins over Purdue 21-16. This was interesting. I obviously am on message boards and stuff like that a lot, trying to figure out kind of how teams are feeling or how fans are feeling about their teams. Pretty much every Michigan fan I encountered said, yeah, this is a snoozer. We're going to completely destroy Purdue. And I thought the same thing. We predicted big win for Michigan. I think we were picking 27-7, which that's kind of how Michigan gets big wins, just because they don't, they're not Indiana. They don't go out there and score 40, 50 points all that often. So we thought that would happen, and Michigan let Purdue stay in this game. They had multiple opportunities to kind of pull ahead. Bryce Underwood, he has too many throws that are off target to be able to continue to move the chains. He fumbles into the end zone. It's a touchback. Purdue gets the ball. Purdue scores in kind of a late drive in that one. Kind of garbage time, but Purdue was still in it. I mean, they got the ball, and they were able to still be in it. So Purdue was, in this game more than I think Michigan fans were probably comfortable with. Ryan Brown, 19 of 24, 133 yards. Bryce Underwood was 13 of 22 for 145 yards. Zach, I dropped Michigan down 4 spots in my power rankings after this game. Basically treated it like a loss. Would you have done that with your power rankings, or am I being too harsh?
I think you're being a little harsh. Here's
you
what
have to
I
remember, though,
that,
they had multiple injuries in this game. Justice Haynes, most likely out for the season now, if not most of the season.
Rolder, the linebacker, was out, right?
Rolder, Cole Sullivan didn't play. Jason Barham went out early in this game.
Yeah.
Blake Frazier, did he get injured? No.
Sure.
They had multiple injuries in this game, though.
So I hear what you're saying, and I think you have to account that they were down a bunch of dudes. Underwood had one of his freshman days. Let's just say what it is. He played like a freshman on Saturday. Here's the thing, though. It was 21-10. It probably would have been worse if Underwood doesn't fumble out of the end zone, which I still think is the dumbest rule in college. Well, targeting and the implications is the dumbest rule. But the second dumbest rule is fumbling out the back of the end zone, and that the solution is the ball goes to the other team on the 20. I can't stand it. I can't fathom it. But that's what the rule is. And it's one of the biggest momentum shifts in football and sports. And yet, if you look at the stats and the everything that happened in that game, Michigan outgains Purdue by 122 yards. They outgained them 1.3 yards per pass play. Purdue had 5.3, Michigan had 6.6. So even though Underwood was not great in the passing game, he was still more effective downfield. They ran the ball for more than for 115 yards more than Purdue. Purdue had 3.5 yards per carry. Michigan had 6.5 yards per carry. The difference in the game is they turned the ball over. And like that's not good, right? I'm not saying it's like that's a good thing. But I just think if Michigan plays a clean game, this is probably at least a 2-score, if not a 3-score game, which is what they do to teams like Purdue, right? Like I don't think that would have been like if it were 28-10, would you have the same response?
If Michigan won 28-10?
Yeah, if they won 28-10.
No, probably not.
Yeah, like but that was the difference with that fumble in the end, or like fumble going out of the back of the end zone.
Yeah, I mean, but Purdue doesn't score after that. I mean, they still get the ball back.
Yeah, I mean, it's so 20 if it's 28-17.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just not.
I mean, I get it. I get it's like one play, but you can also say that with Michigan on like the running game, right? Like, no, Michigan hates it, and I hate it too. For reference, like I don't talk about it because I think it's dumb. So I'm trying to be consistent here, of like, this idea of like, well, Michigan just gets big runs, so as long as you stop the big runs, you're gonna be fine. Michigan had 7 runs of 10 yards or more in this game. Jordan Marshall had a 54-yard run and a 24-yard run. So if we want to play that game, and I'm not trying to come at you here, I'm just saying, like, if we want to play that game, then Jordan Marshall is 23 for barely over 100 yards rushing in the game and no touchdowns. So
Yeah, but
or
I mean,
2 touchdowns. Sorry, he didn't score on
yeah,
a 24-yard run.
I'm just again, I'm not talking about the main thing I'm trying to bring up is that one play, which it certainly affected the game. I'm not saying it didn't, but if you actually look into the numbers, Michigan was more dominant than Purdue.
I mean, I disagree, man. I've been kind of riding for Michigan here a little bit and saying like, hey, they're a better team than people give them credit for. Like, yeah, they struggle on the road, but like to beat Purdue by 5 points at home, like I get there were injuries, but Bryce Underwood was not accurate. He is falling away every single time he throws the ball. It feels like he's falling backwards, falling to the side. It feels like he's kind of trying to play hero ball a little bit out there.
Mm-hmm.
The receivers, Donovan McCulley, he didn't play, or he did play in this one. He only had one catch for 5 yards, but he didn't do all that much in this one because Underwood was missing receivers. Like he was 13 of 22.
Do you think he might have been playing hero ball though because they maybe didn't take Purdue seriously?
I mean, maybe.
I
would think they probably took him seriously by the end of it, but
sure.
I'm just saying I don't think it was one play. Like I don't. Like I get what you're saying on like you take that away and it's a 14-point swing of like maybe Purdue doesn't score and Michigan does. It's 28-10. You feel better about it. But even if they did score on that, I would still feel very iffy about Bryce Underwood's throwing ability because he has been far better at home.
Yeah.
And on the road is where he struggled. So it's like, okay, that's a freshman. I get it. But this late into the season when Michigan last year started looking better, you do rely on Bryce Underwood so much for your offense. Like, and I'm just not really seeing a whole ton of development too. Like I get like, JR's an Ohio State fan, yada, yada. Like I get it. I'm going to look like a homer here. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But I had top 5 in my power rankings, top 4 in my power rankings for weeks. So I try to remain objective with them. But after this one, I'm having a hard time.
That might be the difference between you and me. Because I have them 6th, and that's where I had them was 6th.
Yeah, and you didn't move them at all.
I didn't move them at all.
So who do you have? Who do you have under them?
I have Washington, Illinois, Nebraska, 7, 8, 9.
See, I think Washington and Illinois should be above them.
But Michigan pantsed Washington at home. Like I can't. They have similar records.
Sure. Okay. What does Washington do at home to it though? I said, what does Washington do to Michigan at home, though?
That's not a data point we have, though.
I mean, Yes, you are correct. Okay, so yes,
Yeah.
I'm going off base here a little bit, but
Yeah.
I say that to say, like, Big Ten teams typically struggle on the road. They do well at home. This was a game when I was thinking Michigan would come out, win this game 28-7, 27-7, whatever. Like, I didn't think Purdue would score all that much, and I think there is concern for Michigan.
So let me just tease this out. I am not saying there isn't concern for Michigan. I'm saying I expected that they would be inconsistent. So I just don't think I'm as rattled as you are. I'm not I'm realizing I don't think I'm disagreeing with your premise. I think I'm like, yeah, they're inconsistent. They have a freshman at quarterback. Like, I think.
But you don't think it's gonna go over? Like, you don't think it's gonna continue? Like, you think next week they're gonna be fine?
I mean, I think we could see another subpar performance. I just think that's kind of par for the course with a young team. But this is the other thing, JR, like so they have a bye week. It's a really good time for them to have a bye week. They're going to get healthy or healthier. Then they have at Northwestern, at Maryland before Ohio State. At Maryland's going to be tricky, I think. And I think at Northwestern could be tricky.
Yeah, it's going to be Wrigley Field, so Michigan fans are going to take that place over.
Yeah. And at Maryland, we'll see what that looks like.
I'm not worried about Northwestern. I think Preston Stone's going to have a pretty bad day against this Michigan defense.
I think that's very possible.
I think they're going to take away Caleb Komalafe. I think he can still run for some yards, but as long as they get healthy, like you mentioned, Jimmy Rolder, Cole Sullivan, get back, like Jayshon Barham, like they're going to be fine on defense, and Northwestern's going to have a really hard time moving the ball on them. I could see Preston Stone throwing 2 or 3 picks in this game.
Yeah, and I think they could possibly do that to Maryland too.
Possibly,
and I think this is my if I could just center on a point. I thought they played their worst game against Purdue. They were hurt. They played their floor. They got through it and they got the win. Underwood's not going to become so much more accurate by the end of the season. I would like him to be, but he's not going to be there. I think if that's the expectation, then yeah, you're disappointed. I think if the expectation is you can design a game to utilize strengths and that you limit inconsistency the rest of the way. Like that's I'm not concerned if your goal is that they finish out the season 9-3.
Yeah. No, I'm not concerned if they finish out the season 9-3. I'm concerned about the development of Bryce Underwood. I still think they're going to end the season 9-3.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. That is a fair thought.
Yeah. So, anything about Purdue?
Man, I feel bad because like they are better.
They are.
Like we keep saying that every week, and I know I made the Purdue quip about they're playing in the NFL and they're down 31-7. They really are better this year, and
else better coached.
Yeah, like Barry Odom is gonna, and he made some adjustments, bringing in Singleton at quarterback for some plays, and I feel bad. But they're like, Purdue fans don't give up on Barry Odom. Like he's the right guy.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Let's see what he looks like when he has guys that are in his program and he's not taking in 50+ transfers in one season. So, all right. And Jordan Marshall is legit. That's my confidence. In Michigan coming out of this one. I don't think you see a drop off from Justice Haynes to Jordan Marshall.
He's so good.
Yeah.
He's so good.
Which we were kind of saying at the beginning of the season too. So I don't think it's anything new for either of us.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's our positivity on Michigan. Blue Wolverine was in the chat earlier and I lost his comment. So there you go, Blue Wolverine. Appreciate you being here, man. And we got Steven here in the chat with us. Thanks for being here, Steven. Says, I'm just happy UW is finally ranked. I am just enjoying today. Yes, you are, as we're going to talk about the AP poll next. Zach, do you have anything else you want to get to before we get on to the AP poll?
I think we should rip the coaches for not ranking UW, but that's another.
The coaches poll didn't rank UW?
They ranked Iowa. They did not rank Washington.
Well, They should rank Iowa.
But they ranked Tennessee.
Yeah. All right. Let's get to it.
Okay.
All right. Let's get to it. We're going to start the episode here. If you're listening on podcast, thank you for listening. We're going to head out here. If you're with us on YouTube, stick around. We're going to do the intro, and then we'll get into the AP poll. Here we go. Hey, and welcome into the Big Ten Huddle. We are presented and brought to you by FanDuel. We appreciate you being here, as today we are going to go over the AP poll, point out the issues and everything else, and then I have my college football playoff top 25 ranking predictions. So we're no longer predicting what the top 12, what the playoff structure will look like. Today I'm going to tell you what I think the playoff committee will do with the top 25 come Tuesday night when they release it. On Tuesday night, we will give our reactions to all that, but for tonight, we are going to give you our thoughts on how the things will go. So stick with us as we go through the AP poll, do the predictions, and then come and join us on Tuesday night after the college football playoff rankings are released, and we'll be reacting to them there. Zach, you've been on the AP poll already. Are you finally ready to get to it? Let's do it.
That's what I think.
We'll get to it right away. All right, so the AP poll, they have Ohio State 1, followed by Indiana, Texas A&M, Alabama, Georgia, Oregon at number 6, followed by Ole Miss, BYU, Texas Tech, Notre Dame, and then Oklahoma at 11, Virginia, Texas, Louisville, Vanderbilt, followed by Georgia Tech at number 16, Utah, Miami, Missouri, USC, and then some Big Ten there outside the top 20. You have Michigan at number 21, 22, Memphis, followed by Tennessee, UW, Washington at number 24, and Cincinnati barely hanging on there at number 25. Illinois received votes to be in this week. They did not get in, only 4 votes, but other Big Ten teams vying. I will pull up the voting for that really fast and get to that. But while I do that, Zach, what was your first reaction seeing the AP poll here?
I would love to understand how Texas is 2 spots below Oklahoma. I'd love to understand why Tennessee is ranked when their best win is against a team that lost to Bill Belichick and for his first conference win. What are we doing? What, like Tennessee's 6-3, and they don't have a better resume than Illinois. Like, sorry, they don't. Get them out of there.
No, I mean, and they've not beat a single team with a winning record this season.
LOL. There's some
Illinois has beat multiple teams that are high up in their conference standings. Western Michigan at one point was top of the MAC. Duke right now, I believe, is tied for second in the ACC.
They went on the road to beat Duke by over 20 points, who just beat Clemson, which Clemson's not great. Though. Yeah, Clemson. Well, yeah, but everybody else is claiming Clemson as a good win. So listen.
You know who got just as many votes as Illinois to be in the AP poll, don't you?
Is it LSU?
LSU. They got 4 votes. They fired their coach, and there are still people voting to put them in the AP poll.
Don't you know, LSU is like a really good win?
Yeah.
Give me a break.
Yeah. I double checked. Iowa is at number 26. They were right outside of the top 25 there. So, yeah. I am pleased to see Washington get ranked. That needed to happen. I do find it comical that it happens on a bye week. Like we keep ranking these teams on a bye week. Like what did you not know that Washington didn't play? Right? Like, does nobody watch these games out west and they're just like, oh yeah, Washington, they're 6-2. They should probably be in there because we have to move out this team and that team and whatever. Like, it makes absolutely no sense to me that these teams are on a bye. They are getting ranked off of the bye when there are other teams winning. Like Iowa almost got ranked off of the bye as well. Don't get me wrong; they should be ranked, but what did they do to deserve to move in? It doesn't make any sense. Yeah. These voters are not voting off who deserves what. Mm-hmm. They're just voting off of, well, what's this record? What's this look like here? As evidence of Tennessee, they're at number 23. Tennessee is not good this season. Joey Aguilar, there are people saying that Joey Aguilar is like a top 3 quarterback in all of college football. They're insane to think that. Joey Aguilar plays in a very nice quarterback-friendly system for Tennessee. Mm-hmm. Josh Heupel has been in college football long enough. If you don't understand the kind of system that he runs that excels in, giving more yards and more touchdown passes to the quarterback, which again is the same thing with Brazel, the wide receiver there as well. Like, it's a system, less about the players. It's more about the system. And I'm not trying to take anything away from Aguilar and Brazel. Like, they're good players, but Joey Aguilar is not a top 3, top 5 quarterback in college football. Chris Brazel is not a top 3, top 5 wide receiver in college football. It's the system.
Don't tell that to Tennessee fans who are saying that Brazel is better than Jeremiah Smith.
Yeah, we'll see. They also said Tennessee was better than Ohio State last year in the playoffs. So,
hey, they had their shirts off in 20-degree weather for warm-ups, man. They're tough.
Yeah. One thing I did find funny is SEC fans were licking their chops when they saw Indiana go down 3-0. They're like, "Oh, maybe we'll move them. Maybe Texas A&M will get above them."
Nope.
No, sorry.
No.
Going down 3-0 after the first drive of the game against Maryland is not nearly as bad as losing to Florida. Sorry, Alabama fans.
Oh, but Florida would be. I just listened to Todd McShay. Florida would be like 6-2 in
Florida
the Big
State,
Ten.
sorry.
Oh, sorry.
What did Todd McShay say?
That Florida would be like 6-2 in the Big Ten, and I'm like, based on what?
Based
on what? They lost to USF. Stop it.
Josh Pate said that Arkansas a few years ago would win the Big Ten or Big Ten West.
People are dumb. I like Todd McShay. I like Josh Pate, but like, can we stop this nonsense, please?
If I was just an Ohio State fan, I would like Todd McShay. But the fact that I am not just an Ohio State fan, that I'm also obviously rooting for the Big Ten as well, I cannot stand him. I think he is so hype up certain players, big brand teams. Like, he says some nice things about Indiana, but he just I don't think he's actually. No, I'm not going to say that.
Yeah. Can I bring up something? And this might be a good transition point to the CFP. Miami's going to get locked out of the ACC championship game, which means I don't think they get in. Like, they're out. Because
it's going to be Louisville, Georgia Tech, or Virginia. Which, by the way, how is Virginia number 12? What in the world has Virginia shown that is better than Washington, Michigan, USC, Illinois? What in the world have they shown? They beat Cal on, barely. I'm sure it was on the road, but Cal stinks. Okay, They've gone to overtime like 5 times this season against bad ACC competition. They continue to live off a Florida State win early on, which was like, oh, Florida State's still a good team. Like, the fact that we do not move these teams down because their wins that used to look impressive no longer look impressive is insane to me. It's one of the main reasons why you need to be ranking like the college football playoffs do with at week 10, because you have to see the full picture of what college football playoff or the college football landscape looks like. Do you know everything? No, of course not. But you know that Iowa is 10 times better than Virginia. If Iowa and Virginia played on the same field, Zach, I would win by 2 or 3 scores.
I don't disagree, but that kind of sounds like what we've been going against, which is another hypothetical SEC matchup. Just want to be careful there.
That's fine. That's fine. But what have you? The reason I get annoyed with the ACC or the SEC hypotheticals is because they don't actually look at like how a team is played or anything. They're just like, oh yeah, Indiana can't beat Alabama. Rah, rah, roll Tide. Rah, like that's all they say. They can't actually watch Indiana and tell you why Indiana would lose to Alabama, because they couldn't. But if they can't actually do that. Virginia is not a good football team. They do not put teams away. They do not have enough of a running game to be able to compete against good, strong run defenses. They do not have the lines of scrimmage.
But it may not matter. Like, Virginia might win the ACC,
which is insane.
Yeah. But like, isn't that the beauty of the system though? Like, we wanted playoff expansion so that teams like Virginia could get in.
Well, yeah. No, don't get me wrong. Like, if you win the ACC, you deserve to get in. It's just insane that they can win the ACC. It's not insane that they can get in from winning it. It's just insane that the ACC is that bad. Like, Clemson stinks. Florida State stinks. Miami cannot put teams away. Like, It's just
They
it's insane at this point.
did beat Louisville at Louisville. That's a good win. Their one loss is to NC State, which is not great.
Well, NC State just beat what's Georgia Tech?
Yeah, but yeah, NC State just beat Georgia Tech. They're over 500.
I just hate that like a team like Illinois is consistently getting dinged for losing big to the two best teams in the nation in Ohio State and Indiana, and then they lost big on the road to one of the best home teams in the country. They lose big, and everybody wants to point out, oh, this Illinois team, they suck, they're terrible. But the moment we talk about Virginia, playing too many bad teams close, it's like, well, you can't actually do that. I'm not saying you're doing that. I'm saying other people are trying to say like, oh, well, you can't actually do that. It's like, bull crap, I can't. Why is nobody talking about Texas A&M only won 45-42 against Arkansas? They let Arkansas hang around that game the entire time. Why does nobody talk about Georgia? They have won 2 games this season based on favorable calls from the referees. And I get it. Like, people say that about Ohio State, this season. And, sure, okay, there are definitely favorable calls that go for bigger brand teams in the country. Do I think that any of these calls have, given Ohio State the win? No, I don't think they've given the Ohio State the win. Would I be mad if I was the opponent? Yes, I would be mad if I was the opponent. Legitimately, there have been 2 games where you could argue the calls made in those games have given Georgia the win. Florida and Auburn.
Georgia is, if they don't improve, they're going to get massacred by somebody at some point because that defense is not good.
Yeah, it's going to be Notre Dame all over again.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, I again, they're one of those teams that they have talent, and if they can put it together, they could be scary. But I've seen no evidence that they're going to put it together. They should have lost to Florida.
Yeah, and you picked that one.
That
you've been nails with the SEC picks. If they haven't been right, they've been very close.
I'm not.
Or arguably should have gone the other way. So
yeah,
props on you.
Yeah. Well, I'm just adventurous. That's really what it is. But yeah, I just to your point, I understand what you're saying. I think if we could boil it down, I feel like the issue is the SEC gets the benefit of the doubt, whereas nobody else does. And so it's frustrating even when non-SEC teams get the benefit of the doubt, because teams like Michigan, Washington, Iowa, USC are not getting the benefit of the doubt. And it's frustrating because USC is 7-2. They just beat a pretty decent team in Nebraska on the road. Why are they ranked behind Missouri? Why are they ranked behind Miami? Why are they ranked behind Utah? Why are they they should be higher?
Everybody's talking about Tennessee. Everybody also needs to talk about Missouri.
Missouri stinks.
They do not have their starting quarterback right now. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, that was preach. Go for it.
All right, let me cook. All right, Missouri does not have their starting quarterback right now. We want to give Oklahoma, this idea of if they don't have their starting quarterback or if John Mateer's injured, we're not going to ding them as much. Florida State literally missed the playoffs years ago because they did not have their starting quarterback. Why can we not say the same thing about Missouri, who probably would have beat Vanderbilt in that game if they would have had their starting quarterback? Their best win is at Auburn, South Carolina. You kidding me? Auburn just fired their head coach. South Carolina should fire their head coach. I mean, at this point, he has too much talent on that team to be as bad as they are this season. Everybody wants to preach about Lenora Sellers and Dylan Stewart, everything else. These are talented players, but it is the epitome of the SEC to have this much talent and not have a coach who is actually able to do anything with it because they don't have culture, they don't have good coaching, they don't have the ability to develop players like they do in the Big Ten. So Missouri at number 19 above USC, tell me what Missouri has done this season that is more impressive than USC, because they played Alabama close when they had their starting quarterback, because they only lost to Vanderbilt by 1 score after Diego Pavia couldn't throw the ball in that game and they lost their starting quarterback. But we don't want to give the same credit to Nebraska, who just lost this past game because they didn't have their starting quarterback. And Nebraska, I'm not saying Nebraska should be ranked. They dug their grave when they lost to Minnesota. That's on you. You should not have lost to Minnesota in that way. I'm not trying to say Nebraska should be ranked, but I fail to see a big difference between teams like Missouri and Tennessee versus teams in the Big Ten like Nebraska and other ones. Yeah, Nebraska and other ones, sure, they may have lost to a team big, maybe on the scoreboard, but it doesn't change the fact that those teams still have better wins than Tennessee and Missouri. And what did we hear the entire time last year from SEC fans about Alabama, Ole Miss, and South Carolina? Well, look at the wins. They have better wins than Indiana. They don't care about that now, do they?
I was gonna say Missouri. Missouri's best win is Kansas.
It's either Kansas, South Carolina, or at Auburn. I would say at Auburn because it was on the road.
But Auburn is what, like 4-5, and they just fired their coach.
Yeah, I mean, not good.
It's not great.
3-5. No, 4-5.
No, they're 4-5. They're 4-5. Yeah, so Auburn is 1-5 in their own conference, 4-5, and that's the best win for. Yeah, but sorry,
I get like people saying that like this doesn't matter and everything, but I'm just gonna tell you, like I went back and looked at a bunch of data today because I tried to give you guys the most accurate college football playoff rankings here in just a second. We'll bring it up in just a second. I went back and looked at a lot of data outside of like the top, like the top 20 for the AP poll in college football playoffs. Sometimes top 15. It's pretty much exactly the same. They do it every single year. When you get out of the top 15, like 16 to 25, it's a little bit more shaken up because typically the College Football Playoff Committee gives more credit to teams that are undefeated, like Army. Like if Navy was still undefeated, they would probably have Navy up at like 17. They might still have Navy ranked for all we know. But the fact that they do not give credit to teams at the top, it's because they are just literally looking at the AP poll and say, well, this is how the AP poll has it. We'll switch a couple teams here and there, right? Last year they switched Ohio State and Georgia. Made Ohio State number 2 instead of Georgia because Ohio State lost close at Oregon. But, yeah. Anything else in the AP poll before we get to my predictions since I'm already talking about them?
I was just going to say, I was taking a moment to look up the record for SEC wins and losses against other Power 4 teams in 2025 because that's a stat that's lorded over everybody else.
Do you know what the average FPI of teams that they have beat is?
It's not good. That's what I was looking.
The average FPI. I did this last week. So last week, we'll have to see what it's updated as this week. The average FPI of teams that the SEC has beat, 56. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, and so
great job. You beat Virginia Tech twice. You beat Syracuse. You go out there and beat some terrible ACC teams. You beat Wisconsin. Great job. Great job.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Meanwhile, the Big Ten's out here scheduling an ACC contender in Duke. You have, and I know some people are going to laugh at that. They are they are an ACC contender right now. They're out here scheduling Texas, scheduling Oklahoma. USC is scheduling Notre Dame every year. We'll see if that continues. But like there are actual good teams that are being scheduled now. Part of it is not the SEC fault. LSU can't control the Clemson sucks. I get that. Mm-hmm. But you still can't say that like. I'm not saying you're saying this. I'm just saying overall, like you can't say like, well, they're 9-3 against out of conference opponents. Like, okay, but let's look at who those out of conference opponents are.
Right. Well, no, my point is like, yeah, they beat Washington State, which they stink, and also Ole Miss almost lost to Washington State, which is hilarious. They beat Washington State. They beat Arizona State. Which that's, Mississippi State beating Arizona State, I think actually kind of made things difficult for everybody else.
I mean, Arizona State stinks this season. They don't have Scatterbo.
I know. They don't absolutely stink though. Like they're not, and they lost.
But they're not good.
They played them with the quarterback, and that made it a little bit more difficult. But yeah, Bama beat Wisconsin. Missouri beat Kansas. Auburn beat Baylor, like for 2 wins against Virginia Tech, a win against Syracuse, a win against Clemson, and then they lost to Florida State, Miami, and Ohio State. So the actual good teams that they played, and not even a good team in Florida State, like Every other team they played was either mediocre or just flat out bad. Like, it's just stupid. Like, yes, you beat a bunch of terrible teams out of conference. Good for you. Doesn't mean your conference is God mode.
Yeah. And I'm not even saying that, like, we have to say the SEC stinks or anything like that. I'm just saying we have to acknowledge that the SEC and the Big Ten are at the very least on even playing fields.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not asking for the Big Ten to be recognized to be what the people think the SEC is.
Yeah.
Because I don't think you can necessarily prove that, right? I just, it bugs me that there's a 3-loss SEC team that is ranked 23, and every team with 2 or less losses in the SEC is ranked. Meanwhile, Washington just got ranked off a bye. Iowa is still not ranked. And if you rank Illinois, people are like, oh, that's stupid. Really? Because ranking Tennessee is pretty stupid too, if that's the case.
It's true.
So, all right. I think we've gone in enough on them. I will leave Vanderbilt today. I'll spare them today. I've gone on enough college football or SEC teams. You ready to do the college football playoff prediction?
Let's do it.
Okay. So I want to make it clear. This is my prediction of what it will be. This is not what I'm saying it should be. This is my prediction of what the college football playoff rankings will be. All right. So I have Ohio State number 1 still. I thought about Indiana at number 2 and Texas A&M at number 3, but I think they're going to give the advantage to Oregon over at the very least Ole Miss. And I think if you give the advantage to Oregon, you cannot have Indiana behind Texas A&M. And so another thing we have to think about with this is that the AP poll is an average of voters. This is agreed upon by a committee. So they're not just like all putting in their top 25 and then they take the average. The committee is saying we all agree on this being here. So I think they're going to honor head-to-heads a whole lot more. I think they're going to be more consistent with like this team beat that team. This team we think is good, so we're going to give this team some more credit. So I have Oregon in the top 5. Georgia at number 6, Ole Miss 7, BYU, Texas Tech at number 9, followed by Notre Dame at number 10. Excuse me. I don't think they're going to honor the Notre Dame Miami head-to-head because Miami has lost 2 games here lately, and Notre Dame lost their 2 games at the beginning of the season. You don't typically see the playoff committee honoring those when it's a difference of when they lost those games as much. I do think they honor Texas over Oklahoma. So I have Texas at number 11, Oklahoma at number 12, followed by Vanderbilt, Louisville over Georgia Tech, and then Miami, Missouri, Virginia, USC over Michigan, Utah, Memphis. USF is the big group of 5 team that I think they put in there, even though they're not currently ranked. They tend to do this every year with like a group of 5 team that gets in there. Last year, Boise State was up there higher than before. Army was ranked 18th when the AP poll had given them like 3 votes. They were 8-0. Now, there's not really like an undefeated team. I thought about North Texas possibly being that as well. But Memphis has beat some teams, so I think they stay in there. USF up there. And I think Washington and Iowa are at 24 and 25. And that's not me being a Big Ten homer. I think we've seen the playoff committee give some more credit to the Big Ten in the back half of the poll than, say, like the top 25 of the AP poll. So, looks very similar. Top 15, because that's kind of how it goes, other than Virginia, who I think they're going to ding and have them at number 18. And then they're going to kind of swap some head-to-head stuff a little bit. What do you think of my prediction here, Zach?
I think you're just going after Virginia. I don't think they're going to be that low.
Okay, that's fair.
But
my thing with Virginia is if the strength of record type of stuff happens, right? Like if this whole idea of like you have to have big wins in order to be up there, I don't think they're going to see Virginia as having a big win.
Yeah. That's fair. But I think you can make a really strong case that they should be above Missouri. I think
you and I can make a strong case, but what would a committee do,
well,
right?
and I mean, if they're going to honor head-to-head, they beat Louisville at Louisville. So
that is true. I missed that.
Yeah. We both, to be fair, we both got called out on it last week.
Yeah.
So
do you think Virginia maybe? Okay, so let's rework Virginia here. Maybe Virginia at 14, and then Louisville, Georgia Tech, and Miami just have like a
just a glut of ACC teams.
yes.
I think that's possible because to be fair, Louisville, Virginia, and Georgia Tech all have one loss in the ACC. Like I could see that being the case, but here's my other big reaction. And this is more just I don't know what they're going to do with Oregon. Some people were saying that Ohio State might they might try to rework the top 3. I don't think they will.
I don't think so either.
I don't think I think Texas A&M, like their win against Notre Dame is suspect, and then I don't think they have any other ranked wins at this point.
Yeah, I think in order to look at like the top 5, top 8 there, you have to say who has the big wins, right?
Yeah.
What is Ole Miss's big win at this point?
Yeah.
It's like LSU, right? And Oklahoma, they beat Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
So LSU and Oklahoma. Okay, great. I don't think that's gonna be huge for them, and I think they're gonna be behind Georgia because LSU's not a great team, and Oklahoma, maybe they get more credit for Oklahoma, but I don't think they get above Georgia.
Yeah.
But I don't think they get above Oregon, right? Who Oregon, like, yes, they do not have like a huge signature win that you're gonna write home about and say this is why Oregon is better than everybody else, but they did lose to Indiana, and I think they're going to count that Penn State win as a big one. Maybe I'm wrong.
They might, but here's the issue. If we're going to dunk on other people's schedules, we kind of have to dunk on Oregon's. Like Oregon.
Well, again, I would not personally rank Oregon 5th. I would probably have Oregon around 6 or 7 because I do respect the win, but I don't think it's a huge win. Yeah. I think the playoff committee will respect the win more.
If they are ranked that high, that's why. But I just like you have a bunch of one-loss teams where I just don't I don't think Oregon goes below 7.
I agree.
Unless the one caveat, unless if they look at BYU and say they're undefeated and we're going to value that.
That's true. And BYU does have technically the 4th strength of record in college football right now. It goes Texas A&M, Indiana, BYU, or Indiana, Ohio State, BYU.
So let me rephrase that. They don't fall any lower than 8th, but I could see them putting them 8th because their best win is against a 3-5 team on the road, but it's really against Penn State, who's fallen off a cliff, and then like Northwestern, and they have not looked great. Now, granted, in the weather against Wisconsin,
they looked great against Rutgers.
Yeah, against Rutgers, but I could see them playing a wait and see game with Oregon. But I think other than that, like I think you have the top 15. Like I think it's going to look something like this. Like outside of that,
yeah. My biggest question marks are what they do with Virginia. Do they put them up over Louisville? Do they knock them? And then what happens with 5, 6, and 7? Because I think Alabama is going to be number 4. That seems to be the
sentiment. That's I think a given.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to ding Bama for the Florida State loss as much as I think they probably should. I don't think they will. And I think it's just going to depend. I mean, they might come out and do exactly what the AP poll did, but that's not really been like the college football playoffs thing. Like it always feels like somewhere in the top 5 and like one other spot in the top 10, they do something funky where they like put 2 different teams in different spots.
Yeah.
And this might be too much to put Oregon 5. I can see Oregon at 6 and Ole Miss at 7.
Yeah.
And Georgia at 5.
I can see that. I'll just say one more thing, and then if you want to wrap up, we can.
Okay.
It's so I look at Sagarin a lot, and I think just something, because I think some people legitimately think that 1 through 3 is going to be different. and
I don't
from
think
the
so.
AP poll. I don't think so either. And I think people need to understand that if you look at Ohio State, Indiana, and Texas A&M, they're not that different resume wise. Like people will try to sell you that their resume, Texas A&M has a much harder schedule. But according to Sagarin, all three of them have one win against the top 10. And all of them have at least 3 wins over the top 30.
Who is
Texas
this you're
A&M
talking about again?
This is Sagarin with Texas A&M, Indiana, and
Okay.
Ohio State.
Okay.
Texas
Sorry.
A&M has 3 wins against the top 30. I Bleav those wins are Notre Dame. Let's see. I think it's Notre Dame, LSU, and Florida. Did they play Florida? Did they beat Florida? Yeah. Okay. So those are the 3 teams against the top 30, according to Sagarin. Indiana beat Oregon, who's the number 3 team in Sagarin. And then they beat Iowa, who is 17th, by the way, in Sagarin. And they beat Illinois. I mean, they beat them by 53. And then Ohio State's beat Texas. They beat Penn State. They beat Washington. They beat Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
That's 4 teams in the top 30. Like, and Ohio State, Indiana are 1, or Ohio State's 1, Indiana 2, Texas A&M is 4 in the Sagarin ratings. Like Oregon.
Oh. Yeah, Oregon's number 3 in FPI too. Yeah. I think that's the biggest question mark here is do they go by like strength of record? Because if you go by strength of record, Iowa is not very high up there. So Iowa's not going to be very high up. But if you go by like ESPN FPI, so if you go by more like the metrics, I don't think they're going to go by SP Plus because SP Plus is predictive. But if they go by FPI, USC is right next to Texas A&M. They are top 15. Yep. Right next to Texas A&M. Utah is in the top 10 in ESPN FPI. So, I mean, that's kind of the thing that gives me the most, I wouldn't say worry, but like concern, I suppose. And for all I know, they could just completely tear apart the AP poll and move on, because if they are going to go and judge by like actual wins and stuff like that, this could look very different. If you're going to judge by who has the best wins, Indiana's number 1 because nobody has a better win in college football right now than them on the road at Oregon. I think Ohio State's number 2 because they beat Texas, and Texas is looking better right now. And if you go by wins, I think Miami's still above Notre Dame. Mm-hmm. Texas A&M is probably 3 because Notre Dame doesn't look as impressive as Oregon, but they're still better than Texas. Yeah. But I don't think Texas A&M has like a win over a Washington or something like that. That's as impressive for Ohio State. So all that to say, if you go by like who have they actually beat, this could go be a lot different. If you go by the ESPN FPI metrics, Texas A&M isn't even in the top 10. So do they have Bama at 3? Do they have Oregon at 3? It's going to be really interesting.
Lots of questions. And we will get to cover it on Tuesday.
Yes. Yeah, so I will say the ranking show is supposed to be at like 8 o'clock, I think it is. So there's going to be a ton of people that are live during that. So we're just going to go live at 9 like we normally do. So we're going to go live at 9, talk about the college football playoff rankings and everything, and then we'll do our kind of preview stuff for the next week with like picking every game and everything like that. So I do think it'd be interesting too if they kind of go by the odd stuff a little bit. Oh, since we have started this podcast, Oregon is now tied with Notre Dame. Notre Dame has jumped up to tied for 4th on FanDuel.
Oh,
Notre Dame is plus 1,000 now as well as Texas A&M and Oregon. I don't know what happened to make them jump that, but it happened. So. Yeah, Iowa has better odds than Missouri. Iowa has similar odds to Vanderbilt. USC has better odds than Vanderbilt. And Louisville actually has the best odds in the ACC to win the national championship. at plus 8,000 on FanDuel.
So you're
interesting
saying
stuff.
there's a chance.
Saying there's a chance. All right, Zach, thanks for coming on. Appreciate it. Everybody, thank you for being in the chat and following along. If you're listening on podcast, thank you for listening on podcast as well. We very much appreciate it. Do want to let you guys know I am going to prioritize some more YouTube videos and stuff like that. So we are not posting as much on social media right now just because honestly it doesn't grow the show all that much to post on Twitter and stuff like that. So I'm going to still put graphics out every now and then, but we just don't get all that many listeners from Twitter. So Twitter's nice to let people know that we're live, but it's not nice to get more followers and stuff like that as much. So just let you know, probably having some less social media stuff, but if you want to check out here at the Big Ten Huddle, we'll have more videos. You can go over to JR's Big Ten Football News and Rumors, gonna have videos over there, and JR's Big Ten Basketball News and Rumors, gonna have videos over there as well. We'll still go live Sunday, Tuesday nights. Jeff will still have his Thursday night premiere, and yeah. Anything else, Zach?
Nope. Good show. Thanks, everybody.
Good show. Yes, everybody in the chat. And Steven says he's a follower. Thank you, Steven. Good night, everybody. Great pod, fellas. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you guys being here. We'll see you next time. Have a good one.